All right, we're
Morning.
live. So, good morning and welcome. And I got to tell a quick story before we dive in here, Bert. So, when we launched this, Jeff and I, almost a year ago, we were kind of brainstorming like, all right, who's the guest list going to be? Where are we going to start? And I go, all right, first session, we're going to get Bert. We're going to start with Bert. And our producer said, absolutely not. Let's work out some of the technical kinks. And then I brought it up to a few people internally, and they go, "You sure you want that first show? You want to test this out with Bert?" I said, "All right, probably a good idea. Let's get some of our friends and make sure we've got a story and a pattern and know what we're doing before we dive into this." We've been working up to this, and I mean that since April of last year. So we're so grateful you're able to join us. For those that don't know you, which are probably few and far between, would you just give an introduction and kind of how you got here and your role, and then we'll dive right in.
Yeah, well, I got to be honest. For the last year watching these, I have been both jealous and a tad hurt. I wish you would have told me the plan, and it would have saved me a bit of therapy and so forth. I've been sitting in meetings with you guys, just thinking, what am I doing wrong? I mean, why aren't you answering?
Right.
It's a pleasure. Like it's an honor to be here, and I am the CEO of Carson, and I got to tell you, what a joy it is to be the CEO of Carson. I mean, you got a firm with this amazing multi-decade legacy of being amazing coaches, growth-oriented firm, and now one of the top three M&A acquirers in our industry in just the last couple of years. And so I'm just really lucky to be able to lead such an amazing team. And I've been the CEO here officially for about a year. We practiced for a year before that. We had everyone sort of reporting into me. And so really about 2 years of getting this structure right. And it's been a ton of fun. And prior to that, I was all over the place. I had 2 long stints, one at what's now Wells Fargo, and then at LPL. A lot of people know me as the sort of investment person, and that's sort of my bread and butter. But I got into strategy and leadership and general management and a whole bunch of other things along the way at LPL, and it's been just I just love the space. I love financial advisors. I love what they bring to the community, watching them win. So it's been a ton of fun.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is it's a noble profession.
Yeah.
I never want to do anything else. I never want to leave this industry. I will retire doing something along these lines in the retail independent wealth space. So it's near and dear to both Jeff and I's heart. All right, well, let's dig in. So first question, I think we both want this to be a year in review.
Okay.
So by any calculation, 2024 was a monster year for Carson. I think that's the year we emerged onto the scene. So if you consider 22 being the year that we sort of got our feet wet in external M&A, 23 being the year that we sort of went to market and built our network and certainly had some nice wins, 24 was the year that we sort of made our entrance. That was our debutante ball, I guess, if you will. So what do you attribute the year to, or the success we had that year? And then what do you think's in store for 25?
Yeah, I think monster is the right word. I was trying to think through like what's the right word, epic or breakout, but monster. I can't believe I didn't think of that one. But it's all true. I mean, you look at 2024, 7 transactions. It's not just 7 transactions. It was multiple billion-dollar transactions, and then already in 25. I mean, we're not even Valentine's Day. When we're recording this, and we're already at 4 of them so far this year. And so, thinking about 11 in 13 months, and spoiler alert, we have a lot more to announce shortly. So spoiler alert.
Absolutely right.
So get ready for that one. So as you know more than anybody, we have great momentum. And I've said many, many times that anyone that doesn't believe in momentum doesn't have it. And so I would attribute to maybe a couple of things. And so let me sort of off the top of my head kind of go to a few. I think the first one is that it's a huge advantage to us that we're relatively new to using M&A as a growth lever. I think it's a huge advantage for us. And it's because we are allowed to now enter in a place where we are a much more mature organization. And we've got a foundation that surrounds us that's far more supportive, that allows us to bring more to the M&A than just the transaction itself. We talk a lot about this multi-OR approach, the ability to bring value to our financial advisors and our partners that join us in lots of different ways. And the reality is, what we're great at is helping financial advisors grow. And that's the hardest part. And so that piece is huge. So just to add a few things to that, we have ultra low leverage relative to a lot of other folks. So we have just so much available capital. So many others are getting capital constrained.
Right.
We have committed capital partners. In Bain, I know Raphael was here last time, and he was. Man, that dude is smart, and we still have a very engaged founder. That means that we've got I love the way you describe it in meetings, like 70% dry powder,
right,
for us to be able to think about utilizing the capital. And then just add this too: history of growth, the best leadership team in the industry, upgrade in talent across the board, a value prop that's second to none. And that's a really great foundation to start. Oh, and by the way, then sprinkle on top, we've got a completely flexible means of ways that people can affiliate with us. So we can meet anybody where they are in their journey. You want to think about succession today, we're ready for you. You want to think about a minority investment so that you can step into it, we're ready for you. You want just coaching, we're ready for it. You want to come and join as a direct partner, grow your enterprise value, because that's what we're good at, and then be able to think about us being able to be your succession partner down the road. Heck, we'll even do a call and commit to buying you down the road at a certain like every bit of those, Michael and Jeff, is the flexibility that I see, and it's a huge advantage for us, and I attribute a lot to that.
Yeah, I would just
go ahead, Jeff.
I was just saying, I would just add too, like, I mean, even though starting in 2022, we started doing external M&A. We were doing M&A since 2019, just internally for our direct partners. So I think the momentum of the M&A team in getting that experience, helping our internal partners, has really transitioned into us being successful on the external market as well.
Totally.
Yeah, I totally agree. Burt, to your point, I was at a conference for DeVoe & Company last year, and we were talking about this. And the firm that immediately preceded me was built very much like a white shoe law firm. Everybody was sort of a partner. They kind of built it from the ground up with this intent to acquire and bring people in. And that's beautiful. I mean, it's a great business, but I love that we're a little bit messier because we can solve those problems that you had just mentioned. It doesn't have to be, we didn't get into this just to be financial acquirers. Right. It was to solve those specific problems at the time the advisor faced them. And it's fun.
More. I couldn't agree more. Yeah. And what's interesting is, if you actually look at the landscape, in my opinion, there are two big components that are out there. The first one, when you look at the bulk of acquirers, are first-time acquirers. You look at the number of folks out there that are just first-time acquirers, it is just staggering. I'm guessing 50% of the transactions are first-time acquirers.
Yep. And
these are exciting for those firms, and oftentimes a huge premium that are paid because you have no clue what you're doing. But here's what people begin to realize with first-timers is that the magic isn't buying. The magic is actually integrating and supporting.
Yes.
And that's the magic. And I couldn't caution more, firms are looking to be acquired by someone for the first time. Odds are the headline will look a turn or two more exciting, but you're going to pay for it. And the way you're going to pay for it is the fact that there's going to be headaches that firm's going to put you through because they're not good at supporting you. And that's a tough one. And then the second group that's out there are exactly what you were talking about, is these firms were built to buy you. That's why they were built. We weren't built to buy you. We were built to support a bunch of farmers in Nebraska and Oklahoma. That's what we were built to do. And then we were built to coach financial advisors to grow. And then we were built to bring on more financial advisors and help them grow. And then after all of that, people began to knock on the door and say, can you be a succession offering? And we were built to do that.
Yeah.
And now we're saying, what a great pivot. And so we're not at all built to buy. We're built to make financial advisors thrive. And when you're built that way, that's your why. What you're creating now is a destination that can really allow you to thrive.
Yeah, I totally agree. It makes the conversation with an advisor so much more exciting when it's that blank canvas and it's, all right, what's perfect look like 3 years from now, 5 years from now? Because I had an advisor in Oklahoma one time that said, you can't unfire that bullet. And there's a lot of truth to that. Once you enter into a transaction, it's got to be the right firm. And I take a lot of pride in our reputation on the street as being great integrators. Yeah. And I think it shows up even when we do our planning. We take on average about a week or two longer than some of our competitors to close the transaction because there are a lot of great daters. We're really good at the marriage part of this.
Totally.
And if we do the work ahead of time and pave that ground, then we know the day that we call you and say, congratulations, welcome to the family. You're the newest Carson Wealth office. They're excited. They're meeting with clients. They have the story down pat. And we're looking to the future with really bright eyes. So I love this. This is exciting.
And I'll just add, Michael, I think that's what makes our job so fun is we get to have those conversations with the advisors to help them figure out what that art of the possible is and navigate them down the different paths that Carson's able to provide to them. And sometimes we have conversations where a firm or an advisor comes to us and says, hey, I want to sell 100% of my firm. After talking with them, it's not their best option. And Michael and I will be first to point that out to them and say, hey, there are other options. Let us lay those out for you.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
Totally. And that flexibility of meeting them where they are, because, otherwise, again, back to that firm you were talking about on the stage before you, they're a hammer looking, for a nail. Okay. Mm-hmm. All they are is just trying to, hey, are you ready to buy? Every solution ends up to be, let me buy you, and let me buy you. And worse yet, many of them are, let me buy you and merge you into my culture and not allow you to sort of keep your own. And those two combinations end up to be a hammer that I think misfires too often. And and for us to sort of provide that level of flexibility and supported independence and all the stuff that comes with it, I'm just super excited about it. I just think we're set up with just being in the sweet spot of being able to offer all this flexibility, but all the scale that we bring to bear. It's just really exciting times.
Yeah. So let's go to 24 and do a little bit of a look back. You mentioned multiple billion-dollar firms that decided to opt for full acquisition or full succession with Carson. Several of those were existing partners. And this is, again, an area that I think we are so unique in that coaching member, maybe become a partner office. We might take a minority stake in the business, and eventually we talk about a full acquisition. But would you highlight a few of those, and especially from that practitioner mindset? Because I think that is such a message that's going to resonate in the marketplace. Talk about our rationale or thesis behind that, and why we think that's going to help us continue to win.
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked this question because I do think a lot of places have it wrong, and to be honest, I'm glad they do because it allows us to differentiate.
Me too.
But it's not really their fault. As I've said before earlier, many of these acquiring firms, they were created for the sole purpose of acquiring firms. And so everything's a transaction, everything's about a number, and everything's about buying things, right? One of the things that I'm a big believer in is that the thing that we're really getting is much more than just a great business. What we're actually beginning to do in these transactions is we're bringing on new talented stakeholders. We're bringing on new growth approaches. We're bringing on new capabilities. And what's great about that is we can then take them and leverage them across our organization. We are good at this because the magic of our coaching program, which is the genesis of our company, the magic of our coaching program is not telling people all these amazing things that we've come up with. The amazing is that we get to talk to thousands of advisors, find the very best things that are working, and then share them among everybody. That is what we've been doing forever. And we can do the same way as it relates to a bit of our strategy with M&A and acquisitions. So we actually went out to several organizations within our ecosystem, and actually some outside of our ecosystem, and said, we really want your capabilities here at our organization. Like, this is more than a transaction. This is strategic to us, because there's actually a higher calling for you than just selling your firm and being a CEO that sold your firm and to continue to go forward. We can actually tap into your genius and be able to bring that practitioner-led expertise to all of our partners. So maybe I can give you a couple of examples of this.
Please, yeah.
So at the beginning of this year, we acquired an amazing team out of Cedar Rapids, and it's right next door town of Las Vegas. And it's a joke. How Las Vegas and Cedar Rapids, Iowa got together, I have no clue. There could be no bigger differences than those two towns.
Just not in any way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, just no bigger differences. But damn, it works. So this team grew from about 200 million in assets to over $1 billion in 6 years. Now let's think about that for a second.
It's insane.
It's loaded. Okay. So this team is loaded with talent. And so what we have the opportunity to do is to go and elevate some of the most amazing G2s that are now ready to run that firm, who frankly were looking for their opportunity. Okay. So now we got to create and give them that opportunity, and then take the chief architect, the guy by the name of Russ Nealon, and elevate him to a new position. And so what Russ is now is what we call a regional growth officer, or I like to recall a coach, who basically coaches other wealth advisors and CEOs within our Carson Wealth environment. So just think about this for a second. When you come to Carson, we're not giving you some schmo that's like right off the street who's a relationship manager that says, hey, can I help you? Like, we're giving you somebody that grew $1 billion firm and says, hey, listen, I know about G2. I know about inorganic growth. I know about organic growth. I know what the difficulty is in hiring people. And that's his only job. His only job is to help you be able to be better. And how could we do that? We could do that by going out, acquiring an amazing organization. Yeah, we get a new firm in and we get assets and economics, but more than that, we get talent, and we get this huge coach that could come in and help everyone be better. Can I give you one other one, Michael?
Please, yeah, this is great.
If you don't know Debbie Taylor out of Taylor Financial in New Jersey, you just need to as soon as you're off of this, go up and be like, Taylor Financial, Debbie Taylor, who the heck is this? Because she is unbelievable. Now, let me tell you how I've known Debbie for years and years and years, and she's one of the fastest growing organic growers here at Carson. And she is winning because, she's amazing financial advisor. That's an amazing team. But her secret sauce is that she has figured out that the last true alpha in our industry is tax planning. She's delivering positive tax alpha every single year to clients and using it as a differentiator. And it's why she's growing faster than any others. So we reached out to Debbie, who, by the way, wasn't thinking about succession. She's young and growing and the whole thing. And said, man, we'd love to have you come here, not only to be a part of our Carson Wealth environment, but we want you to be Carson's chief tax strategist and help every single financial advisor that wants to create this value prop, help them be able to be amazing. Why is it important? Because financial advisors that use tax planning within the Carson ecosystem grow at 500 basis points faster than those that don't. So what we have now done is taking the sole biggest influence of growth, and we have brought the expert of all experts in. And now we have Debbie that's providing all the stuff that she's done in her own practice to every other advisor. She's having office hours to help you close business and coach you through it. and all the other stuff that comes with it. And that's because we didn't acquire a company. We acquired an expert, a practitioner. And that's what we're looking for. Brian Sweet, another one, and go on and on and on and on. Mark McCallum out of Chicago, great at inorganic growth, on and on. That is what we're trying to do. And we just want to continue to assemble those. So our goal isn't just to buy stuff. Our goal is to expand our community and bring these experts in so that we could all win. Because, man, when we combine Russ Nealon and Debbie Taylor and Mark McCallum and Brian Sweet and Paul West and everybody else, that combination ends up to make the whole entire ecosystem go higher. We all win and everyone's growth is better.
Yeah.
I'm just so glad you asked that.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a talent acquisition play. And Jeff and I talk about this all the time with prospective sellers. Getting excited and getting them excited about their next is so critical to dealing with what is a very emotional process. The idea of building something that has now become your most valuable asset almost always has your name on the door. To think about letting go of control or not having that quote unquote ownership, you got to get them focused on something else. And when that next thing gets them motivated and excited, that is so much fun. We had a firm just last week we talked to in Denver, relatively young group, wirehouse veterans. They are machines at recruiting, and they have been able to build this hyper talented team and are talking now about what's next. And when Jeff and I can sort of direct that conversation to, hey, what if you could drive inorganic growth or M&A in a one metro area, but two, more of a region, and really blow this thing out of the water. And we're going to incentivize you, and we're going to help you just recruit to this value proposition. You see the wheels start turning and these guys start getting excited. I mean, that's where their background was. And that's a lot different than, hey, sell your firm, come on as a W-2. We're going to slap our name on the door. You're going to fade away.
Totally. Totally. I mean, look, you have these supremely talented people. And for many companies, what they want is the extremely talented person to come in to sell their firm, become a W-2, and to slowly just sort of atrophy into the wall.
Fade away.
And fade away. And so what I've been saying for a long time is I actually think for many of these people, their highest purpose and most fun that they will have is after they're CEO. So what comes after being a CEO? It can be fly fishing in retirement, because that's what I'm going to do after maybe I'm a CEO. But for many, it's the ability to say, listen, I have built this amazing practice in, Denver, Colorado, or Baton Rouge, or Hartford. In the case of Cedar Rapids or Debbie Taylor in New Jersey. But you know what I can do? I can actually have a bigger impact and a bigger stamp on this industry than I could. Yeah, sure, I can grow this $500 million firm to $700 million and just rule Franklin Lakes, New Jersey.
Right.
Or I could transform an entire firm and help it be able to get to the next level of alpha and have an impact on not only my community, but have an impact on our industry. And that is what we can tap into. And when you find people like that, that want to do those things, right? And get back to sort of what's next after being that CEO. It is such a huge opportunity. And we're growing so fast that we need those experts. And we're trying to create that practitioner-led organization. I don't want to be led by yahoos like me. I want to be led by people like Russ Nealon and all these amazing financial advisors. They're the future of this company, not me. I've never done this stuff before. I just want to bring them in and take the spotlight and shine it on them and watch them be able to take this company to the next level. And I just think there's so much talent out there, so much talent that is in every single town and community, and they're locked away. And let's bring them to a place like this, tap them into this community and unlock them. It's just super exciting.
Yeah.
100%. I think at the end of the day, they're all entrepreneurs, right? They backed into
right.
a business
Bingo,
to help
Jeff.
support their families and friends, grew a successful business over time. And with that entrepreneur mindset and that drive that they continue to have, while they need succession, they're still looking for that next to add value to an additional company like Carson. And Burt, you're spot on. Let's allow them, give them the tools to do that, and help other advisors so that they feel re-energized and motivated to continue to grow.
Jeff, there doesn't have to be a negative trade-off. Okay, you don't have to find an organization and say, okay, oh my gosh, I'm selling my company, and what's next for me? And I guess I'm out, or I guess I'm less important, and they're going to be caring about more about that G2 than me, and I better learn to fly fish, or take hikes or something. No. You don't have to make that trade-off. Why are you making that trade-off? You could join an organization that values you and wants you to be able to figure out what's next for you. It's one of the things that I really admire about some of the really amazing leaders that have figured out a way of what's next after them being a CEO. And there's so many places. Some of them go to politics, some of them go to philanthropy, some of them go to whatever it may be. We're figuring out a way to tap into that. And it's just a part of our culture. It's part of this coaching culture. And that practitioner-led component. And when you are a firm built by advisors for advisors, what you realize is that that's how you win. And people could say that as a tagline. We live it. We flat out live it. It's our legacy. It's why we were born. It's our why. It's our seed. It's our genesis. And because of all that, we're good at it. We're just really darn good at it. And it's a huge value add.
Yeah, you don't win by taking hyper successful entrepreneurs and stamping that out. You take those entrepreneurs and you give them something else to focus those efforts on to get to that next level. I mean, that is that trailblazing entrepreneurial spirit was instilled in this company by our founder. And we want every new partner to exhibit that same level of enthusiasm and zeal about that next phase of life.
Well, and not only that, Michael, yes, totally. But a lot of them have had a lot of that flame extinguished now. They're getting away from, the things that they love. They loved, coaching, or they love visiting with clients, or they love recruiting, or whatever it is. And now they're spending their entire time trying to figure out, oh my gosh, who's going to set up the plow to get the driveway cleared because there's snow, and what the hell's going on with the coffee machine, and there's a leak in the bathroom, and like every other thing, like, oh my gosh, this person quit, and who we have to hire that one. And they've gotten away from their joy, and so, yes, it's both of those. It's that they're part of it's already been stamped out, and then they join another firm that just goes and stamps the rest of it out. And they just end up to be this sort of flaming ember that just sort of goes away and turns into like charcoal over time. and for God's sake, that's not what we want. I mean, let's get that thing red hot again, and we're doing that. And I got to tell you, like, you could probably tell I'm fired up. I have the opportunity to spend this time with Debbie Taylor and with Russ Neal and so many others all the time, because they're the leaders of this company. And it just fires me up how talented they are. And then when you have that lens of saying, oh my gosh, if they're talented, every single person that comes across our door that begins to think about what's next for their organization, we have that lens. And that was your point, Michael, and the firm that came from Colorado just not too long ago. Because now we're looking at it and going, oh my gosh, not only would you be a great fit here, but you know what? You are so talented at these things. We're actually looking for the talent. And sometimes they don't even know it's still there. They're not even sure what that talent is. And we're helping them find it. Man, that's a calling, and it's fun. And it's what makes this job so enjoyable.
I couldn't agree more. All right, so I'm gonna switch gears a little bit, and this is a segue from us having Raphael Mason, as you mentioned, one of the most brilliant people I know in this business, joined us last month to talk about private equity interest in this space. And I think if you read any headline or white paper, that's just accelerating.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at like the top 10, call it old line New York, private equity firms out there, like 8 of the 10 now have a foothold in this space, and those other 2 want in. So why the interest? And I asked him, why were you so attracted to Carson? And it was just a wonderful answer. But I'm curious to your thoughts. Why the interest in the independent retail wealth space? Do you see that continuing? This is your chance to just throw some crazy predictions up on the wall.
Yeah. I think we are in the early innings. And it has a huge long runway, and there's lots of reason for it. So let me just, maybe I'll throw the first one out and then we'll just keep going. Look, the entire financial ecosystem has been in consolidation for decades. Just take the banking industry. FDIC
Sure.
did a great study on banking consolidation. In 1994, 16% was giant banks. Today, it's 70% giant banks, because they just all come together. Okay. That took 26 years to consolidate from 16% to 70%. The same has happened with broker dealers. TD Ameritrade's gone. Asset managers. It's just like BlackRock and Vanguard and a few others. And
Right.
everyone else is like, who are they? And wealth management's now there. And so because of that level of consolidation and how fragmented our industry is, there is an extraordinary opportunity for that. Extraordinary. And I don't think that is going away anytime soon. And so I think that, you mentioned sort of PE. I do think that PE firms see a lot of value here, but I do think it's going to change over time. And we haven't talked about this, so I'm going to ask you a question on this.
Sounds great.
I think what's interesting about this is I actually think some of the early runners in this race, the early winners in this race, the very largest of the acquirers, I actually think that things are going to be adjusting. I think the winners over the next 5 years, the fastest growers, might not actually be the 5 biggest. I actually think it's going to come from a different place in the ecosystem, because, if you just look at the 5 largest RIA acquirers, in 2013, this is like, 12 years ago, they averaged about 27 billion in assets. Now it's 150 billion in assets.
Right.
Okay. So just think about that for a second. Okay. You're a $150 billion firm and you've grown almost exclusively with M&A. Okay. Largely, that means that how much capital do you have left? What's your leverage ratio?
Right.
It's like 10.
Right.
Like you got nothing left. Okay. But let's just say that you're trying to attract people to come on. If I was going to sell my firm and exchange equity, for God's sake, I want at least 20% CAGRs. I'd really love 30 plus CAGRs. Just in case you're asking, our CAGR for the last year was 85%. 85%. Oh, by the way,
That'll sell.
that was slower than the year before that, which was 112%. Okay. So this year, what we might slow to is like 60. So the reality is, like, we're seeing huge. That's what I would want. And these companies, think about what they would need to grow. If you're a $150 billion firm, okay, to get 30%, okay, you need to bring on 45 billion. Oh, newsflash, that ain't happening unless you're going to buy really big firms at 18, 20 multiples, and it's not accretive to your business.
Right.
It's actually making your
dilutive.
less profitable.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reality is, I think the sweet spot that's happening, just to get back to your question, I think the sweet spot is sort of these, 20 to 40, about our size, billion-dollar acquirers and smaller PE firms that are coming in to really help to drive that, because it's a much better sweet spot for that. I mean, we are in a spot where we could do both succession and legacy. If you come here, your equity swap is going to do great. Okay.
Right.
So it's not what your headline price is the day that you sign your closing deal. It is what happens 5 years later. And that's what matters. And do you think you're going to get that at one of those really big ones? You're not. And you're certainly not going to get it from a first-time acquirer or a little one who's hadn't even figured this out yet. I think trying to find that middle ground is going to be huge. And here's why it ties back to the PE thing. PE has come in, they're attracted to this, but they're also, because the middle-sized firms have been underdeveloped. Firms like Carson weren't filling that in, okay? And now we are.
Right.
We are at a big time. And so I think because of that, we're going to be, I think, competing alongside some of these PE firms. And to be honest, if you're thinking about what you'd like to do, be by myself to try to figure out how to grow. And as I'm not growing very well now, and organic growth is hard, I'm going to try to figure out a way to do that myself by taking some PE interest, or I can go join a firm that's growing its CAGR at 40, 50, 60, 70% and tap into the geniuses of Russ Nealon and Debbie Taylor. No brainer.
Right.
So while I think PE is going to continue to be there, at some point in time, what they're offering, other than just capital, is not really help. Because what these firms need is more than just money and a little liquidity. What they need is help to grow. And so when you get whatever it is, an infusion of $5 million, what are you going to do with it? Like,
right.
What are you going to do? Like buy a marketing ad, or what are you going to do? How are you going to grow? That's the key. And if you don't know how to do it, the money doesn't help you. Join a firm so that they can help you grow and you get that, valuation money and so forth. And I just think that PE firms are filling a void right now because there's not enough expertise. And so it just comes down to sort of availability of capital. But when you have firms like Carson and others that now can offer a much more complete story, I do think it's going to create a different environment. And I'm not so sure if the PE is going to crowd out firms like us. I think it's the opposite. I think firms like us are going to crowd out places like PE.
Oh, I totally agree, especially the smaller firms. I mean, there are so many smaller pools of capital that are private capital that are looking for a place to deploy,
Totally.
but it is purely a financial transaction. And I had a real life example just yesterday where the deal looked good, the terms looked pretty good, but it was a small private equity firm that has acquired essentially a portfolio of 11 relatively tiny RIAs.
Right.
And none of them are integrated. None of them are on the same platform. They are independent businesses. And I asked the founder that exact question. I said, okay, so if you're going to exchange, let's just say 30% of your equity for that PE firm's equity, do you believe that's going to grow faster than an integrated platform or a business like Carson? There's just absolutely no way. And he said, absolutely not. So, I mean, that's your options now. We're being sort of shaken out into these platform options or purely financial options.
Totally.
And they are different theses. They are different returns. They are different time horizons. Everything about it looks different when there's value on one side and just capital on the other.
Couldn't agree more. And it's why, Michael, I'm so bullish on Carson. Granted, I'm wearing the logo. Okay. And so, go ahead and sprinkle some salt on that. But
right.
But rationally, the case is exactly that. I mean, would I want to be a $200 billion firm trying to figure out a way to deliver, equity, like really great equity returns to the new folks that are coming on? Like, the money's already been made there, y'all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Money's already been made. You ain't gonna make none. Okay. Like, money's already been made there. I'm gonna go to a first timer. Go ahead and figure this out yet? Nope. Or I'm gonna go to PE that's just gonna give me capital, and then what help are they gonna give me? How are they gonna help me grow? How are they gonna help me find my freedom? How are they gonna help me tap into Debbie Taylor? They aren't giving me any of that. I love the sweet spot that we set in all those. And look, we all have things to solve for, but I got to tell you, I could not be more bullish and about just where we sit and the solution that we can provide. And the more that I can get that story out, I think just the more that hear it. And that's why we have this momentum, is because people are now beginning to have this conversation like, whoa, sure, I could take some capital from a PE firm. They're going to help me. Sure, I can go to a one-timer, but what am I going to get with that? Or sure, I can go someplace, but while I get a check today, it ain't going to grow in the next 5 years. I might as well just, keep it with myself. Like, what's going to help me?
Exactly.
That's what I love. And I just, that's the momentum that we have, is that we can tell that story And it's not just a story in that frame. It is a reality that people are benefiting from. Last thing on this is, I'm a sore loser. Okay. Just a sore loser. Okay.
Same.
And so there are two firms that I really wanted to come join us, and they didn't join, but they didn't join anyone else. They stayed where they were. And so every year I just, this has been about, one was 2 years ago and one was 18 months ago. And so about once a quarter, I just send them something and says, just so you know, if you would have joined, here's what your equity would be worth. And man, I really wish you did, and I'm going to do that till they come. I'm just going to keep sending them that till they come. And so, but that's we just have such an opportunity. And I just really would welcome people to take a look, because
I love that long game. And Jeff's got a story, but there was another firm like that. Every year there's the one that got away. There's one that you look back on and you go, man, that hurt. They would have been perfect here. We would have done anything we could to get them over, but it just, for whatever reason. And we have one just like that did not join, did not transact, and Jeff is engaged with now and having those ongoing conversations.
Yeah.
And Burt, I just love what you said. Like, firms like us are looking for something more, not just necessarily a capital partner. And that's similar to the M&A that we do here for businesses who are looking to sell. Right? That not only are they looking for a capital partner, but in order for them to continue to grow and get to that next level, they're looking for a partner that has a platform experience like a Carson. And I couldn't agree with you more that as M&A continues to develop and consolidation happens in our industry, that's what we are going to be looking for, is the expertise outside of just a capital partner. And so the last thing I want to ask you, Burt, is, if someone who's listening to this show today is looking for a partnership or something that for a succession plan, what would you tell them for the person who's potentially looking to sell the practice?
Yeah. Well, I would tell them that, well, first of all, there are amazing people out there to help. I look at the investment banking community. It is, in this space, I think, some of the strongest, most amazing people, and we have a chance to interface with them every day. And we are just so darn impressed with so many of them. And sure, we'd love for you to come directly to us, but for gosh sakes, there's some really great partners to go out there and help.
Totally agree. Yeah.
But number two is, know that it's not binomial. It is not like, okay, I could either just sell this to you or I could do it myself. And those are my only two options. And the reality is, between that A and B is an infinite number of things. The problem is that most firms can't help you solve it. Most firms will tell you it's A or B. Okay. And that's how we can help. Or maybe there's one step in between. But if you look at our ruler, okay, like, there is so many millimeter lines along that whole ruler, because there is so many ways to help you solve it. And getting with us, what we're going to do is we're going to have less of a conversation with you around the transaction, because that's the easy part. Okay. We're competitive. We have lots of capital. We have all the capital we can use. We have all that. Okay. So that's a part we're not worried about that at all. What we're excited about and we want to explore is, what do you mean by succession? Is it about legacy? Is it about finding your freedom? Is it about what's next after being a CEO? Is it, I want to love my business again? Like, what part of it is it about that? Is it that, you haven't seen the growth and that you just want to sell it before but it atrophies anymore? Because there's a whole lot of people in that zone that have just hit a wall. We're great at getting people through walls. That's what we do. Half of RIAs, half of them get to 500 million. 5% get to $1 billion. There is a wall between those two. It is so hard to bust through that wall. And if you're at 500 million, 600 million, 700 million, and you've just been treading water, because by the time you get there, you have enough people that by the time you hire a new advisor and train them, one quits and retires. That by the time you get a new one, that one's gone. And you bring one in and that one's out, and you just can't get anywhere. For God's sake, call us, because we can help you through all that. So that was a long way of saying, like, our ruler isn't beginning and end. It's not A and B. There's an infinite number of flexible things between them. give us a call. We would love to be able to help explore all those. And we can also help refer you to some amazing investment bankers if you want. If you want to say, like, I don't even know who to call with that, like, give us a call. Gosh sakes, there's so many great ones out there. So my point on all that is we're here, and we'd be honored to chat with you, educate you, which is what this call is so great, Michael and Jeff, is you're educating people on this because they're going through it. And let's face it, it's not like you sell your business every day. You get to do that once, know. So let's get it right and talk to some experts and then join the right place.
Yeah, Jeff, that's a great question. I love it. And we have a real life example that is a longtime coaching member, without mentioning any names or geography, that approached us about what a full acquisition would look like, turned into minority, turned into direct partnership, and maybe back and forth in between a few times that you worked quite a bit on, that just committed to joining us as a partner. And I think it's so gratifying to go to some of these firms and say, hey, it is not in your best interest to sell right now. And here's why. Here's how we're going to make you more expensive for us. And we're going to believe in that growth path together. And that's one that just, it means a lot to the firm. There's an emotional component to it for all of us. So we're excited about that. One thing that you mentioned too, Burt, that I want to hammer on, when I'm having a conversation with a prospective seller, a lot of times at the end of the call, they'll say, hey, what am I not asking? Or what's a question I should be asking of a prospective buyer? And I say, I've got two answers to that. One, ask about the cap table. Who owns the firm you're talking to? And that's where our dry powder, I think, is just so valuable and worth having a conversation around every single time. Two, I say, ask them, why are folks choosing you more often than not? So what is the reason you win? And that flexibility and that growth story is ours. And I think most people still know the Carson brand as a place to go to grow, whether it's through coaching, partnership, or acquisition. We can solve those problems by helping you get back to growth, which creates positive enterprise value, a lot more enjoyment in life, and get you to a point where when we do step in and buy the firm or make an investment, you are seeing top dollar, top enterprise value.
Yep. I love that.
All right, we are almost to the end of this. So I'm going to say, Burt, this is now like your free for all time. What is like the crazy, wild prediction you're going to make? Could be about Carson, could be about our industry. But when we do this next year and we're doing our 2025 year in review, what are we going to talk about? Or what's going to be a big headline that maybe we didn't see coming?
Well, because we filmed this right before the Super Bowl, I'm going to make the prediction that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to crush Kansas City. You put all of your money. Okay?
Not even a game.
It's not even going to be close. It's not even going to be close. And I know you're like, what in the world? Like, this guy must be crazy. No. I'm telling you, actually, we did this.
This is a live stream, Burt.
That would have been cool though, Michael.
Would have been.
Hey, man, we all watch Back to the Future too. Like, we all want those tips.
Exactly. Okay. All right. I'm going to give one because this is going to be on YouTube, and it's going to be why I am so bullish not only about our firm but our talent, including you. So let me tell you my audacious, crazy, bold goal. Okay.
Sure.
Last year, I think we were second or third in the number of M&A transactions we did. Is that right, Michael? Something like that.
Correct.
Second or third. I think in 2025 and 2026, we'll do more than anybody else. That's what I think. That's my bold goal. And I'm just telling you, we're only 3 years into this. Okay. Sort of dabbled with one or two in 22, but it was 23, 24 was like, whoa. And now 25 is like, yep, we're ready. Like, we're ready. Okay. It's ours. So many of the top M&A firms are exactly that. I mean, they're just acquisitions. And when you think about us, that's secondary, right? We are about growing. We're a different kind of firm. And when you're a different kind of firm like that, they can join us at any part of their journey, and they can benefit. They can find their freedom. They can discover what's next after being a CEO and all the other stuff together. And so, when you mix that with all the other stuff we talked about, I believe that we have the most powerful offering and the best talent. Oh, by the way, which we even talked about, like, when I think about this year, like a major accomplishment, by the way, my tech person's better than yours. I have Danny Fava, who has invented everything. Oh, by the way, my marketing person is better than yours. Heather Carter was the one who led all of marketing at the biggest juggernaut in the world at LPL. Right. Oh, by the way, my other stuff's better than yours. Like, we've got the talent, not just our advisor talent. We have the home office talent. And I'm just telling you, that powerful combo, mix that with our flexibility and our offering and our growth mindset. I think over the next year and over the next 3 years, we'll do more transactions. We'll free more people up to doing amazing things than anyone else in the industry. And I'm not sure everyone sees that coming, but it's our destiny for that. And it's our destiny to have a lot of people knock on our door and come and join us and be a part of this ecosystem, because you can do more and you can do better, because you can come to Carson.
I love it. Let's go get it. Well, Burt, I cannot thank you enough for joining us today. This has been an absolute pleasure. We could do this for 3-4 hours. Just love it. So thank you. We are going to have you back in a year, and we're going to revisit all these predictions, and we'll see what happens with the Super Bowl.
Yeah, put all your money on football. Just trust me, all of your money on. Oh, by the way, Hurts is going to be the MVP, and he's going to go. Trust me on this one. Okay, double down. Saquon Barkley, not a great game. Don't bet on him. Okay, it's all on Hurts. Trust me on this one. Trust me.
I love it. All right. Well, thanks, guys.
I'll put this on the calendar 1 year from today.
Sounds great.
Thanks again, Burt. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Burt. Have a great day, everyone.